Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another exciting Moonblink webinar. My name is Travis Hawthorne, and I am Moonblink's marketing coordinator. And today we'll be giving an overview, an introduction of our new partner, Firetide. And on the line, we have Matt McCluskey of Firetide. He's their WLAN sales manager, who would demonstrate, how Firetide and their portfolio of wireless LAN, mesh, and point-to-point are a great fit for many different kinds of applications. We recently just signed a distribution agreement with them. We're very excited to be working with them and to be introducing you today to their solutions. But before I pass it on to Matt, I just want to take a moment to go over who Moonblink is. We are a value-added distributor for wireless and video surveillance equipment. We call ourselves a value-added distributor because our partner development team is extremely knowledgeable and experienced in wireless and video surveillance applications. So we can assist our customers in product recommendations, system design. We can get assistance from our in-house engineers. We can provide marketing and sales support. So instead of just taking orders, we can actually help you develop and grow your own business. Now I'm going to let Matt continue on with the remainder of the presentation. If anyone does have any questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to type them in the Q&A box to the bottom right of your screen. And we'll be sure to provide time at the end to answer those. So with that, Matt, I guess I'll let you begin.
Thanks, Travis. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to join this webinar. My name is Matt McCluskey with Firetide, like Travis said, managing WLAN sales here on the eastern half of the U.S. I'm actually based out of California, but managing on the eastern half of the United States. For today's webinar, we're going to go over a little bit about Firetide, who we are, where we started, some of our markets, customers. We'll do a brief product overview of the product lines with some features. From there, we'll talk about our partner program, training and professional services, and then we will open it up to you guys for any questions that you might have. We're pretty excited here working with Moonblink on several projects. We want to start working with you guys as well, and hopefully this webinar will show you guys where our products fit in the market. So with that, I'm going to get started. Okay, so a little bit about Firetide. Firetide is the #1 wireless mesh infrastructure for public safety video based on IHS research. We have over 3,000 installations in over 40 countries. Innovative technology, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, and we are a leading provider of wireless infrastructure and network solutions. Just a brief overview there. I want to show you guys a little bit of a timeline of how Firetide came to be. We were founded in 2003. Late 2003, we applied for our first wireless mesh as an Ethernet switch patent. And in 2004, our first generation infrastructure product was introduced, and we opened a research and development facility in India. In 2005, we introduced the FMR, we'll talk about that a little bit later, Firetide Intel and Docomo Purpose 802.11s. 2006, a new tagline, Firetide Multi-Service Mesh Networks. Also in 2006, our 4th generation Hotport 6000. I'm not sure if anybody out there is familiar with any of the legacy products, but this timeline has that. 70 megabits on the mesh network. 2007, our current tagline, Reliable Connectivity Anywhere. And we introduced the industry's first mobile infrastructure connectivity at 60 miles an hour. In 2008, we introduced our Hotpoint access points and our CPE devices. In late 2010, our 5th gen Hotport 7000 series, our Hotpoint 5000, which is our current latest version of our access points, and our wireless bridge, the FWB 205. All these products from the 7000 and the Hotpoint 5000 and the 205 are going to be the products that we'll be talking about today. 2011 achieved profitability, and then also in 2011, a mobility controller that allows connectivity at up to 90 miles an hour. So, a little bit about our markets. Firetide's #1 market is government, whether it's video for public safety, police departments, fire departments. That is Firetide's #1 market, and for that market we utilize our hot port, 7,000 nodes mainly, and then in conjunction with the hot point 5,000 series. Like, again, we'll talk about the products a little bit more as we go on. Education, we're making a huge push into education with our access products. Transportation, because of our mobility controllers. Industrial and utilities are huge markets for us, and then we are getting into the service provider market, but that's government, transportation, education, and industrial and utilities have been our main market focus. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about a few of our customers, and I'll talk about a couple of the deployments here and how our products were used. First, I'm going to talk about the McCarthy High School in Florida. This is kind of an interesting project because in Florida there has been, and in other school districts across the country, there's been this initiative as well, but in Florida we've seen it becoming very proactive. A lot of schools down there want to do one-to-one iPads for students or tablets. So this was our first iPad project that we worked on. The school has 13 buildings. We covered it with 28 access points, and they support 1,000 kids using their iPads every day, whether it's, in classroom teaching materials, video to the iPads, or just iPads at the end, during their free time. They can use those also. Another thing that the school did was they basically, to pay for this network, this is a private school, and they built in, I believe it was a $40 a month charge onto their tuition, which covered over the 4 years that a student, as a freshman, their first class this year, received an iPad, and their parents are paying an additional $40 a month. At the end of that group of students, 4 years there, they will have paid for the iPads, which the students get to keep at the end of their time at the high school, and they will have paid for the entire network. So that was a pretty interesting deployment, and that's something that we've seen a lot of traction in. Another one that I want to talk about here is our outdoor mesh nodes, and I want to talk about the Thailand flood management system. Just recently, in the end of last year, I'm not sure how many people are familiar with the flooding that was going on in Thailand, but they lost a ton of infrastructure, and to replace it, they chose Firetide as their infrastructure to back up any of their wired connections. Basically, we have a 25 hop mesh network that's it's like a linear connection, so it's all based in a line, and it's monitoring any sort of flood activity as it's going through rivers and dams, and they've got different devices that actually monitor water levels here. It's actually our longest continuous mesh string as it goes 25 hops, and they're actually extending it now, but at the latency, I believe, is 0.9 milliseconds today. So I want to touch a little bit on that one. Another one, and this is more on the indoor side of it, as you see down in the bottom left, the Creative Realities digital signage. What they're doing is they are installing, I'm sure you guys have seen in malls, they have those kiosks that might be flashing an ad, some sort of advertisement, a special, directions, whatever it is. Instead of pulling wire directly to each one of those kiosks, what they're doing is they're using our indoor versions of our mesh nodes as indoor infrastructure. And eventually, in some of these malls, they'll be hanging our access points off those as well to provide access to the mall customers. But primarily right now, what they're doing is using our indoor nodes as a replacement to pulling wire to different kiosks throughout the mall. So those are three that I wanted to talk to you about, kind of three different deployments, but all different ways you can use our products. As we could talk about Chicago and the public safety. We have a large camera deployment there, and that's video. But those were three that I wanted to touch on there, and then we will go to our next slide. So our complete portfolio of products. HotView Pro at the top will manage any of our products from the hot port infrastructure mesh to the hot point access products. If you're doing a mixed deployment, we recommend HotView Pro. HotView Pro will be able to manage the mesh nodes and the access points. If you're doing an deployment where you might only be using access points, depending on the size and what you're trying to accomplish, you would probably go to our wireless LAN controller. And in the following slides, we're going to kind of break down the differences between the controllers and talk about that. But from our infrastructure mesh to our wireless bridges, a mobility controller for something like video on trains, buses, connectivity like we mentioned, or like I mentioned earlier, up to 90 miles an hour seamless roaming there. And then on the access side, our hotpoint access points, our CPEs, and our WLAN controller. Along with the complete product portfolio, we also offer professional services, and this is something that we would work with in conjunction with Moonblink for design help, installation help, trainings, and there'll be some slides later on that talk about our partner program and things like that. So just a few key points about the Access product. Complete indoor and outdoor. We have indoor and outdoor APs, and this also includes our mesh access points, so overall a complete indoor and outdoor solution. Field-tested security features. A unique feature to our access products, there are other companies that do this, but there's never any license fees associated with our access points. So if you buy our controller and it supports 50 APs, you get 50 APs out of that, even if you only are going to use 25, and then you want to add another 10 a year from now. You're not going to have to pay a license fee for that to add those APs. You're not going to have to pay a license fee to turn on your dual radio in our access products, giving us the best total cost of ownership. When we talk about optimized video performance, as I mentioned, Firetide has traditionally been known as outdoor video surveillance, providing for police departments like we talked about, but we took a lot of that same code and we put it on our access points. So when we're doing things like iPad deployments and video, to whatever device, whether it's your laptop, iPad, a phone, we've used code off of our mesh nodes into our access points to give us that optimized video performance that, as far as I've seen, we do that almost better, well, I'll say better than anybody around. So, our wireless LAN products. We have an indoor 4100 radio that's a single radio BG, 400 milliwatt output power, 32 clients, and up to 30 megs here. Just would briefly touch on that one. We're going to talk a little bit more though. Then we have our Hotpoint 5000 series. These are our dual radio 802.11 ABGN 3x3 MIMO. The 5100 is the indoor version of the radio. The 5200 is the outdoor version of the radio. You can have up to 128 clients on this radio. And since it's dual radio, you have 64 clients per radio, so on the 2.4 gigahertz side and the 5 gigahertz side. Then for our controllers, we have the FWC 1000 that supports 50 APs, up to 1,000 Wi-Fi clients. And our next slide actually has the differences between the 1000 and the 2000. The main difference here that I kind of touch on here on our features is in the FWC 1000, it is for 50 access points. You can have less than that, but it's not a stackable controller. So this would be key for a smaller deployment, maybe a small office, a small hotel that's only going to have 3, 4, 5, 10 access points. Whereas the FWC 2000 is rack mountable and stackable up to 3 times at 50 APs each, so you have up to 150 APs in your network. Our next slide here talks about some of the features. This doesn't have all of the features, but if there's questions about certain features, we can address those. Everything in the 1000 controller, the 2000 controller also has. But what you get with the 1000, you have auto discovery of your access points, auto channel allocation, automatic power control, policy management, rogue AP detection, captive portal, enterprise-wide monitoring, centralized load balancing, coverage monitoring or heat mapping. So you can take like a JPEG file of an office floor plan and you can place that or upload it into your controller, and it will give you an estimate of how many APs you need to cover that area, basically based on square footage. Self-healing, so if you lose an access point in your network, you can set self-healing to either 3 or 6 access points, and this is a function, like we're saying, through the controller. And what you do is if you set it to 3 access points and you lose an access point, the 3 closest around to it will power up to support that coverage gap if for some reason that AP were to lose power or to go down, or you could set it to 6, and up to 6 access points around that would power up and cover that gap. FWC 2000 adds redundancy, scalable up to 150 access points, LDAP support, Active Directory support, SNMP v3 support, and if there is questions, like I said, about other features within the controller, we can provide a list of all the features that are there. Now we are going to talk about our infrastructure products. The world's fastest mesh, live video surveillance, like I mentioned, up to 90 miles an hour. Lowest latency, I mentioned 0.9 milliseconds, ease of deployment, scalable, security compliant with latest standards. So these also go AES 128 for security, 256, and we also have a version of the radios that are FIPS 140-2 compliant. So if you're doing a possible federal or military deployment where you need FIPS certified radios, we have that as well. Wireless infrastructure, mesh products. The 7010 is an indoor version of our outdoor radios. You can get it in single or dual radio MIMO. What happens with our mesh product is they ship as single radio non-MIMO, and this is the case for all of them. They ship this way. If you would like to add dual radio for something or dual radio and MIMO, there's a license fee, so you would call, or we have an automated service where you can have that turned on. So ahead of time, if you said, hey, I need dual radio on this axis or on this mesh node, I need MIMO here and here, you would purchase that up front. But there is a license fee associated with activating the dual radio and MIMO. These radios operate in 2.4 gigahertz, 4.9, and 5 gigahertz. 300 megabits. This is the same indoor and outdoor. The indoor unit can accept 1 PoE device. The outdoor units can accept up to 2 PoE devices. So if you had, say, a video camera and possibly a traffic synchronization device or 2 cameras, the outdoor units can support 2 devices, indoor 1. We have the 7900. This is our outdoor 900 megahertz solution. One radio is dedicated 900 megahertz. The other radio can operate in 2.4, 4.9, or 5 gigahertz. You would designate that. When you go in through HotView Pro, which we'll talk about in a second, you designate the country code, and then that would either allow the 4.9 or not allow the 4.9 and show you what frequencies are available. HotView Pro configures, manages all your products across the Firetide network. So like I mentioned, if you're doing a mixed deployment with our access products and our mesh nodes, I would recommend using HotView Pro. If you were, like I said, just doing a wireless LAN deployment, then I would look at our controller and not HotView Pro. System-wide network management, analysis, security. I will have, if anybody needs more information on HotView Pro and all the features there, there's a long list of features there that I can either talk about if there's specific questions to HotView Pro, or we can send you the actual information on HotView Pro, but there's a long list of features, same thing with the controller. Firetide's bridge products, we have an FWB 205. This is the same form factor as our AP 5200. You get up to 150 megabits here, PoE, single radio with a backup because it is dual radio. These are MIMO capable, just 5 gigahertz here. Actually, I believe, sorry to misspeak here, but I need to double check this. I actually do believe you can do 4.9 with this one, but I will confirm that. Sorry for the misspeak there. The Hotport 7000s, like we talked about on the previous slide, those can actually be used as point-to-point bridges also. The main reason why you would use 2 Hotport nodes as a point-to-point instead of the wireless bridge is you do get 300 megabits. The difference also here would be security features where you can do the AES or the FIPS. So if you needed high security and maybe more bandwidth, then you would look at using the Hotport 7000 series, and you put one up on one building, one up on the other, and create a point-to-point link that way. I guess another thing to mention too is you can use these radios in a point-to-point scenario also. So let's say you have a Hotport 7000 series radio on your building and you want to go to 2 satellite buildings that are nearby or you have line of sight to. You can activate the dual radio on your headquarters node, and then on the 2 satellite nodes or the satellite buildings, you can have them just set up as single nodes, and they'll talk back to one radio at the head node, and then the other one would talk back to the head node at the other radio. So that's kind of an example of why you might need dual radio in one spot and only single radio in the other, which you're allowed to do basically since they all ship. Okay. A brief overview of the Hot Fusion channel program that we have. The goal here is to establish a community of qualified solution providers. Here we want to have value-added resellers that are able to install, design, work with Firetide and Moonblink together on projects. We have a partner portal. The partner portal is going to contain things like sales tools, technical resources. Also through the partner portals where you would be able to find firmware upgrades if you had to upgrade a radio, and always be able to find out trainings. We have a training, well, we'll talk about that on the next slide. The other thing that we will always have, if partners would like to do webinars for, if it's a specific product, you want to have a webinar on the 7000 series. We'll work to do a specific webinar on that for you. If you would like to do a webinar that's specific to our access products, we'll do that. If it's an overview, whatever it is, we're willing to work with you guys to have a webinar pinpointed to what you guys would like to accomplish. Some of the program benefits: discounted demo equipment, deal registration, joint marketing funds after you reach a certain threshold, sales promotions, and then our customer support, which is available to all Firetide partners. Here's a quick slide about a promotion that Firetide is currently running on our Access products. Again, this is in conjunction with the partner program. This is aimed at our smaller market schools or maybe more rural schools. I'm not sure how many people are working in that market, that is on this call right now, but we've seen a lot of traction for smaller schools that are looking to actually just get into wireless, might not already have it, and we've tailored a promotion just for that. So there's 2 different promotions here: the WLAN Starter Kit, where you get 1 FWC 1000 controller, 10 Hotpoint 4100 access points, the quick starts guides, documentation CD. The non-promotional price there is $43.90, and then the suggested promo is $21.95. Between Moonblink, we can work on getting you guys quotes if that's something you're interested in. As an add to that, if you need more access points, we have just a 10-pack of the 4100s that are available. List price there is $19.50 with the suggested promo there of $9.75. So again, wanted to get that out to you guys, a little bit of a promo for maybe more rural or schools just getting into wireless, but it's something that we've seen traction with, and we wanted to share that with you guys as well. Training and professional services that we offer. I can provide a link. We have, through our website, dates of all the trainings. We have different training classes that can be tailored or that are tailored just to the mesh products or just to the wireless LAN products. So there's 2 sets of classes, and based on the schedule there, you can look to see if it's, you have a mesh deployment coming up and you want to be trained on our mesh products, then you would find the dates there. We also can arrange special trainings if that is necessary. What we really, the goal of our training program, I think, as well as everybody's training program, is to have VARs that are well-trained, want to learn the product, and want to be comfortable with installing and designing networks. Firetide also will offer professional services working with our distributors like Moonblink, where we can do customized designs. If you have a deployment that maybe there's an issue with that's maybe a year ago and didn't know that we offered a service for something like this, we can come in and help fix that. optimize your system with configurations, trials, proof of concept, and demo services as well. So, should have been a different title there. Apologize for that. Anyways, now, if there's questions, I know a few of you guys have already submitted questions, so we can start answering some of those questions. And then if there's any more here, contacting Moonblink, right there at the number below, customer service, or going to the Moonblink link. But I will start to answer the questions as they are here. So, let's see here. I don't want to mispronounce your name, but Ranganath, which security features might you be looking for, I guess, is, for your first question. Second question, at the moment we do not have any APs that support 802.11ac. Okay? So if there's specific security features that you're looking for, Ranganath, let me know. Otherwise, I can send you information that provides all those features, but if there's a specific one that you're looking for, I can, give you that answer. Hey, Gordon, do your outdoor hotpoint products provide any intrusion detection capabilities? Yeah, so, Gordon, if I am understanding your question correctly, I think what you're referencing to is, I might be understanding this incorrectly, but are you asking about here rogue AP detection, or are you talking about on the client level where you get notifications about being able to maybe blacklist somebody through their MAC address? Both those features. Client level, yeah. So basically, if you want to, through the controller, set allowances, and anybody who does not have permission, you'll get notification. You can set that up through the controller, and then you're able to blacklist or not allow those users to get onto your network. Does that answer your question, Gordon? Okay. Read the next one here. Okay. Hey, Dave. So your question, since Tropos does mobility well and Meraki does cloud-based management well, could you please provide a comparative analysis of Firetide versus Tropos and Firetide versus Meraki? So let's go with Meraki first. So when we're talking about their cloud-based management system, from what I understand, and you may be able to correct me if I'm wrong here, but this is information that I've heard but not verified. Again, you can correct me if I'm wrong here. Meraki, from what I've heard, I want to make sure that that's clear. Like I said, I don't know if this is an absolute fact. I believe that they charge a yearly subscription on their cloud-based management. All the features there, I'm not 100% sure, but if you were looking to do cloud-based management with Firetide's Access products, what you would do is you would use our HotView Pro software, and that would act as a cloud-based management system. And we can, like I said, I can send you over the list of all the features that HotView Pro allows you to do with our Access products. As far as Tropos and mobility, that is actually a question that I will need to get back to you on. But be honest with you, I haven't followed them on mobility very much. That's something that I actually apologize. I do have to get back to you on that question. I apologize. Let's see, what else do we have coming up? Okay, thank you, David. But I will get back to you on the Tropos stuff. Okay,
we have Matt, we have a couple more questions I can read to you. I'm not sure if you can see them as well.
Yeah, you know what? I just saw them pop up in the chat room up top from Mike.
Yes, we have 4 or 5 there. So
let me. How many mesh nodes is that? That's across 25 hops in Thailand today, Mike. And then your next question.
And by the way, the participants can't see those questions, so if you could read them aloud as well. So
okay, sorry, I didn't know that they couldn't see those. Are those just Mike's questions that they can't see, or everybody's?
Only the ones in the chat window.
Okay, so Mike's first question was 0.9 milliseconds across how many mesh units in Thailand, or is this per hop node? So this was across the entire 25 nodes at 0.9 milliseconds. Second question here, when you mesh, how do you handle hidden node collisions and near-far issues? You know what, I need to defer to, actually on both your questions there, likewise with point to multi-point. I need to get you those answers. I apologize for that also, Mike. That's more of on our mesh side where I'm focused more on the WLAN stuff, but that's an answer that I can get you today, and I apologize for that.
We have another question asking what is the AP coverage, the distance-wise, for getting 2 megabits of download speed?
Oh, did that pop up somewhere and I missed it? Distance-wise, are we talking, I guess, so 2 megabits? So are we talking about the 5100s or the 4100s, or I guess I can answer both of those. That might make it easier.
Both would be good, I think.
Okay. Yeah, so for the 4100s, as far as coverage distance, we've seen up to around 600 square feet. So I guess if you go a circle around your AP there, and obviously as you go out further, or depending on your users, you know, how many users you have, I mean, that's going to dictate your amount of bandwidth. But going out further, I mean, I'm talking about solid, what we've seen, but going out further and still being able to receive a signal is completely possible. And like I said, I mean, that's going to be based on the amount of users you have and how the bandwidth is split, and depending on, you know, how you might set up through your controller the parameters on who gets, you know, maybe what access at what time. 5100s, what we've seen is up to 1,000 feet. Again, you can set your parameters in the controllers that might allow allowances for certain users, that if you want to leave it as open, again, it's going to depend on your users, and then as far as how much bandwidth that you're going to end up with. But you can count on a very good amount of distance there when I'm talking about 1,000 feet, and you know, I'm kind of talking open air distances at the moment, but indoors we've seen very good coverage as well. Hopefully that answered it. Is there any other ones that we got?
That looks like the last of the questions. We can give it a few more seconds to see if anybody else has anything to ask. But
and then for the guys that I need to get back to, I will work with Travis on that, but I'll get you your answers, Mike, and then Raghunath, again, I apologize if I mispronounced your name, but I can send you over a list of the security features within the hot point and hot port, so you can have a list of all that stuff if that's what you're looking for. Dave, same thing. David Mitchell, same thing with the Tropos comparison. I apologize that I'm not too familiar with their mobility, but that's something that we can get you also.
And Matt, is it okay if in the next 24 hours or so I send out the slides and a recording to the attendees?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So yeah, someone asked. They came in late, and yes, there will be a recording for playback later. So just look out for an email from me in the next 24, 36 hours.
Yeah, that's awesome. And David, thank you for your contact information right there. Actually, I guess if anybody wants my contact information, I probably should have put it in a slide, but I will give you guys my contact information real quick if anybody's still on. I can type into this Q&A, correct, Travis?
Yes, I believe so, but I can also send it out in the follow-up email too. You know what I mean?
Okay, perfect then. Then I guess that's probably the better way to do it.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that looks like the last of the questions. So anything else you want to add there, Matt?
Well, I just want to thank you guys for joining. Apologize for the questions I didn't have answers for. I hope that you guys found this informative, and Firetide and Moonblink, I think I speak for both of us, looking forward to working with you guys more. And anything that you guys need more detail on, you know, please, when the email goes out and there's my contact information, please feel free to message me, give me a call if there's any questions, comments, anything you guys need help with. I really appreciate you guys taking time today to join the webinar.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Matt, and we look forward to working with you guys, and we thank all the attendees for showing up. So with that, I guess that concludes the webinar, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, guys. Have a great afternoon.